Hi, and welcome to the Neoprene Playmat. I'm your host, Matt Piak, and this is the weekly roundup, essentially a time when I just reflect over the last week and kind of what's come about in gaming, whether it's stuff I've played or stuff that's come out or just cool information in the board game world. So let's hop right into it. All right. So to begin with, I don't know if you guys saw this or not, but BGG finally updated their homepage. I think it looks really nice. It looks crisp and clean. Rather than having just lists of links everywhere, there's some iconography off to the side now, like these little thumbnails that make things more separated. You got these rows of information. Everybody talks about how antiquated BGG is. So I think it's pretty cool that they've done an update right in time, actually, for kind of their BGG Con at home, which I believe is taking place the 18th through the 21st, maybe? Let's see, 18th through the 22nd. BGG at home. So if you're looking for an online con, that's definitely out there and available. And they're doing a Secret Santa. So if that's something you want to do and participate in, definitely come to BGG and check out the link. But what I wanted to show you here too was this new article that was published by W. Eric Martin. And I'm not sure if these come out every week or every couple months or not. From the way it's worded, it seems like they would, but I never found them before. That doesn't mean they don't exist. I'm definitely not scouring the page every day, but that said, I found this super helpful. So this is a new game releases article for November and December of 2020. And you can scroll down and it goes by publisher. You can change how it's sorted if you want to do title or things of that nature, but publisher is always kind of cool because you get to see kind of what's bundled together. What is this publisher bringing out for the Christmas season, right? And so you can come down, scroll through, click these links, and kind of find out more information about each of the games. I always like scrolling through here and just seeing what comes up. Like, I thought this was really interesting, this reality shift. It seems like Academy Games, they used to always do just like straight up historical games, and recently, I forget the name of the other one, but they've been doing some different style games, thematically speaking, away from your typical history options. And so this one, I haven't done any research on. I literally just clicked the link for the first time. It looks like there's some Rubik's Cubes or something going on here. Maybe this is how you're laying out, and it looks like you're maybe moving these guys along these different tracks. It almost looks like Tron. Definitely looks thinky. But yeah, I guess I just wanted to show you that this resource was available if you're ever sitting at home thinking, I wonder what's coming out this next month. I have no idea. You can just hop on here. It'll sort it. You can sort it however you want, and you can kind of scroll through. Look, Smash Up is getting a Marvel version, so that's, if you're into Marvel superheroes, that might be something for you. Tiny Towns is getting another expansion. Castles of Tuscany is coming out. This is a big one from Stefan Feld. It's like from what I've heard, it's kind of like a quicker playing, maybe lighter Castles of Burgundy that plays more with cards than dice. I don't think there's any dice in the game at all. But yeah, so this is just a really cool resource. Hop over on BGG. Right now it's running across the main page as like the main article. If you're watching this at a later point, you can probably search for it, or it'll be in one of these 4 spaces here as things get updated. Let's see. Oops. Yeah, here we go. So another game that is recently released is Praga, Caput, Regni. I'm probably butchering that name fully and completely, but this is the newest Vladimir Suchi game, who, if you're unfamiliar with his work, he did Pulsar 2864. I don't know, some year in the future. It's like 2864 or something like that. He's the guy that does Underwater Cities. He's responsible for, I'm pretty sure he's responsible for Last Will and the Prodigals Club, if you're familiar with those. And everybody has been talking about this game. I don't know what the game is. I haven't done my deep dive, but all week I just keep hearing. I know Jeremy Howard's done a shout out. I've seen a couple board game forums on Facebook where people are just putting this game up with tons and tons of praise. It looks really interesting. There's like these stairways that go in the back of the board, and I don't know how things are moving on them or what, but I've never seen a component like that in a game. It looks like there's some rondelle over here. I don't know if you can see that over here going on. There's all these hexes down here. It looks like a large complicated Euro, but to me, like, that gets me excited. Not everybody's that way, but when I see stuff like this just looks new to me. This looks like a new type of track or something. And tracks a lot of times can just feel very similar from game to game. So if they're doing something new here with these stands, that would be definitely interesting. So this is one I'll definitely be checking out. You'll probably hear more in depth about what the game actually is on my Spend My Money Mondays when I contemplate whether or not I should purchase this. All right. Well, moving on. Last night. This video is coming out on Saturday, but I'm recording on Friday. So last night, Thursday, was an absolutely phenomenal night. It was the first time in a long time that I played games with more than one other person. We got 5 people together, and we went to a local shop that one of my friends works for, and we set up a table. Obviously, I shouldn't say obviously, I guess it's not always assumed, but wearing masks and the whole protocol. Obviously it's been difficult for people to get together, but it seems like there's finally a little bit of traction for that and for people to be practicing safely. So to start out the night, we played Gorus Maximus, which, if you haven't played this is probably my favorite trick-taking game. Kind of I don't know, they all have a gimmick, right? Every trick-taking game has its own gimmick. And the gimmick in this game is that cards are worth different points, and some are worth negative points. And so the cards that tend to be worth the best points are above 8, and the worst card in the game is the 8. And so you never want to get stuck with the 8 because you're going to get negative 4 points if you pick it up. And so the whole time you're kind of strategizing. If you're leading first, you never want to lead high because you're just going to get stuck with a bunch of these 8s. But then you're not contributing to a winning hand, right? And the other gimmick is that you can change trump at any time if you have the right card in your hand. So if the person before me plays a 5, I can play a 5 of any other color, and that will challenge that initial 5 and change trump to the suit I just played. And so you're never really too certain whether or not you're going to win, and sometimes the way the cards fall out, it just creates for a really interesting interaction. And so that's Gorus Maximus. Also, if you've ever played the deluxe edition, which is the one I have, the cards are amazing. I've never felt any cards like them. They are like a plastic, but they're linen finish. And so they have like gold flake on the outside of all the cards. I've never had a deck of cards that shuffle as nicely as those cards, so it's always a blast bringing that deck out and just riffling it a couple times. If you're like me, you know what I'm talking about. Another important update. I'll go back to my my game night here in a second, but Gorus Maximus had a reskin. As you can tell from the cover here, there's a lot of blood, a lot of guts, things of that nature. And the trick-taking game is oftentimes a family game. And so Connor, after hearing a lot of people say, hey, we'd love a reskin of Gorus Maximus where it was more family friendly, he came out with Sea Change, which just released. And this is the exact same rules, so there's no change here. But it's about cleaning up the oceans and getting the pollution out of the water. And my order of these came in. I just ordered 4 of them because I figured they would make great gifts for the holiday season. And Inside Up Games always does a thing where the more you buy, the less you pay for each one. And so I think at the end of the day, I paid like $8 or $9 for each, and it's an amazing game. So I'm glad I'm gonna have those as stocking stuffers or just little gifts to give people this holiday season. You can always check that out on Inside Up Games. I think he still has a deal, but it's not quite as good as what the pre-order was. But if you're interested in that, you like trick-taking games, I definitely recommend Gorus Maximus or Sea Change, whichever one you fancy. I will say, though, I know Sea Change does not come in the Super Deluxeified edition because it seemed counterintuitive to make a game about reducing pollution out of a lot of plastic. And so it's just like the cards and the card stock and whatnot. That said, 1% of the proceeds for Sea Change do go to help clean up our seas too, which is super cool. But yeah. All right, back to game night. So another game we played was Rhino Hero, which is a dexterity game where you are building up a massive building. Well, it was massive for us. My buddy Eric, he has the giant edition, which is something that's often used at conventions and things. We're talking majorly large cards. It looked like we were all holding clipboards when we're just holding our hand, like our hand of cards, like just massive cards. And so we had to play on the floor actually. And as you can see, you're building up your tower, and our tower, as we were building it, trying to balance it and get all these roofs placed on and everything, move this little Rhino hero character from floor to floor and all this stuff. We got the thing taller than me. I'm 6'6", and so it was crazy from the floor up. We were just building, stacking, and it was getting out of control. It seemed totally like those outdoor Jenga sets or things like that, where it's just large and outrageous. So we had a great time with that. We love sticking people where you got to move the Rhino, right? It adds so much more stress to grab this. In this case, this is the original edition, so this is a tiny little wooden Rhino, which makes it hard because it's hard to, pinch and whatnot. But on the one we were playing, it's just this massive wooden piece. And so as you're slowly pulling him out, when you put him onto the next roof, it just you can just feel how momentous his weight is to the structure below him. And so this was a lot of fun. A great game to get the night really kind of moving and grooving. I was with a group of guys that some people knew each other, but some people didn't. And so this was a really good kind of icebreaker game to break out to do that. We then played Mysterium, which, if you're not aware of this game, a shorter, more streamlined version recently came out called Mysterium Park, which is trying to do the same thing in a much shorter time span. That said, I love Mysterium. I love the original edition here. It's fantastic. One player plays as a ghost, and the other characters are psychics or mediums, and they're having dreams every night, which are provided to them by the ghost, who is somebody that died. And they're trying to help you identify the person who murdered them, where they were murdered, and what weapon was used to murder them. And to do so, they're using cards that are like these really weird abstract paintings, which are supposed to be your dreams or whatnot. And so they have this little board where every person at the table has a different person, place, and weapon. And so throughout the game, you're moving your way up. Once you find out who your person is, then you can start working on trying to figure out your location, and then you can try and figure out what the weapon is. And so this just led to a lot of really, really good interaction. It was really enjoyable. Everybody at the table was like, man, I really liked that. We had a first-time player that played as the ghost, and he was able to figure it out and do a good job giving clues and everything. In the end, we ended up losing, but we all made it to the end, which is a good thing. So we didn't have the finale we wanted, but at least we got to where everybody kind of solved their own mystery, right? So yeah, that was a good time. And then we got to close the night out with Marvel Infinity Gauntlet, a love letter game. This was put out by Asmodee pretty recently. I'm kind of curious if AEG lost the licensing for Love Letter or not, because they were the ones that produced the original one, or if this was a different enough game that it could be called a Love Letter game without infringing on the licensing. I'm not exactly sure how that all worked out. But essentially, this is an one versus many game where one player is playing as Thanos and they get their own deck. They're trying to either kill the heroes or get their 6 stones, the 6 Infinity Stones, before they die from the heroes attacking them and whatnot. And so the heroes are all working together. They have limited communication, so they can't really tell you like what cards they've seen and things of that nature when they're looking at other players' hands, but you're trying to pump each other up and trying to land successful attacks on Thanos and hopefully derail his plan. It was pretty good. I've played a ton of Love Letter. I don't know that I needed a new iteration of Love Letter. If somebody pulled this out, I would certainly play, but it's probably not one I'm going hunting down myself. If you're a big fan of the Marvel IP and you like the idea of playing Thanos versus everyone, and you're looking for something light, I think it would be a good fit for that. For me personally, I'm just going to stick with my Batman Love Letter. It's not one versus many or anything, but yeah, I mean it was all right. It was all right. We had fun with it and we had a good time, but yeah, and that's kind of how we closed out the night, and that's kind of how I closed out my week of gaming. I certainly played more games throughout the week, but I figured there was just too much to go over and too short of a time. But otherwise, that's pretty much my weekly roundup. That's what's been going on. Those are the things I'm seeing trending over on Board Game Geek. That's kind of what I've been playing and what I've been interested in. As always, feel free to share below. What's your weekly roundup? What are the things you've been playing? What's caught your eye? I'm always looking for more information about different games out there, and if you've had a really good experience, I'd love to hear about it. Otherwise, this is the Neoprene Playmat. Thanks for watching.